Yesterday, the American stock market hit a new all-time high, while Bitcoin was just sitting down and not doing anything special. But right now, I want to be talking about what is actually happening on Bitcoin, because we are seeing one of the largest consolidation phases that is about to be breaking out very shortly. So on today's update video, I will be talking about the major MACD cross we are currently spotting here on the daily time frame and what this historically has meant for the Bitcoin price action. I want to give a big update on my $4 million Ethereum trade I currently have running and about what my expectations are from this point onwards. And of course, I'm going to be talking about some very important charts and data points that are literally forecasting what is about to be happening next year. So a lot to discuss on today's update video. So don't forget to once again slap that like button back above 1000 likes and let me jump straight away in towards today's update video. So you can see here on the Nasdaq, we hit a new all-time high. You can see here on the stock market, the US 500, that we also hit a new all-time high here. And that is just a very interesting signal after we got all the uncertainty of the war, etc, etc. But it seems to be right now that everything just has cooled off here and that we're just looking at new all-time highs again here. So that is of course ultimately very great here. But of course, I want to straight away talk about what we have seen historically with Bitcoin and of course the Nasdaq all-time highs and all-time lows basically. So every single low in the market also corresponds with the low in the Bitcoin price, but also every single high in the market corresponds with a high for Bitcoin as well here. So it is clearly true that Bitcoin does follow the stock market ever so slightly, maybe not exactly, but we are seeing that Bitcoin indeed is following the stock market ever so slightly. Also, on the most recent dip here, we exactly formed the bottom, where of course the Nasdaq also created its bottom here. Of course, there are some divergences with of course a high over here and a low for Bitcoin, but of course mainly Bitcoin follows this price action as well here. So right now, if I'm looking at this chart, it does actually make a lot of sense that we are going to be seeing Bitcoin also increase up to new all-time highs, since we are seeing the Nasdaq doing the exact same here. So yeah, it's ultimately going to be inevitable in my opinion, especially since the market is starting to look quite good again here. Then, of course, if you're looking at the lower time frames for Bitcoin, what is holding us back right now is, of course, this downward sloping trend line, right? We're still creating lower high after lower high after lower high. So we're still trading in that major downtrend for Bitcoin. But as soon as this downtrend is going to get broken, that is where we're going to be seeing that big continuation higher. But of course, as we're still speaking, we're creating lower lows together with lower highs. So we're ultimately still trading in this downward sloping trend here. But as soon as it's going to be broken, that is where we're going to be seeing the next big move here. Then on the Bitcoin ETF yesterday, we saw about $226 million worth of inflows. Not major crazy inflows, but still we are seeing additional buying pressure entering the markets. And of course, if we're going to be looking at the last week in general, we saw that over already $1.5 billion is bought ever since the start of the week here. So not too bad if you would ask me here. Then currently, we're still looking basically at this range for Bitcoin. And of course, more importantly, we're looking at this bull flag scenario on Bitcoin. And whenever this bull flag pattern is going to be breaking out, we are going to be in for the next major move here. So this is exactly where I'm looking at right now here, and I truly hope to see the next major breakout for Bitcoin. And of course, if we're going to be looking at the price target for this major bull flag pattern for Bitcoin, it is going to be quite a very insane one, because that is going to be all the way up towards about 135,000 US dollars for Bitcoin. So that is of course quite an insane target if you would ask me here. Then of course on the Bitcoin daily time frame, we're also starting to see a bullish crossover on the MACD. The last few times this happened was also over here in the bottom that marked the beginning of this major rally towards the upside. We saw a slight little bullish crossover also moments before we hit a new all-time high. Of course, ultimately it was a slight little fake out over there, but yeah, in general it's quite bullish whenever we do get these crossovers. And of course, for the weekly time frame on Bitcoin, we are just waiting to see this breakout getting started, and whenever we are breaking above this red box of resistance, which I think is going to be inevitable, we're going to be moving up most likely towards my next target, which is going to be 140,000 US dollars for Bitcoin, because ultimately we are still creating that major head and shoulders pattern. And yeah, the breakout is just having insane targets towards the upside, whenever we're going to be breaking above this exact box right here. So super excited. At the same time, I remain to be in my long position on Ethereum. I mean, currently I'm in about 320,000 US dollars in profit, but I am targeting way higher levels than we're currently sitting on, because my first take profit target is going to be $2,660. There I will be taking $1.2 million of my quantity in profit, and then of course around the 3,000 US dollar levels, just a little bit below that, I will be closing my entire trade in general. So this is my exact trading levels where I'm looking at for ETH. I really think Ethereum is quite well coiling up here. I mean, you're seeing currently perfectly the power of 3 pattern playing out here. Of course, that accumulation, the manipulation, and now we're going to be getting the expansion or distribution, however you want to be calling it. But yeah, now we're about to be entering that expansion phase here. And of course, whenever that does happen, we're probably going to be moving quite high here. And to be honest, a very realistic and normal target is already towards the top side of this range here, which is going to be quite an easy target in my opinion to be reaching, and that is of course around the 26 to 2700 US dollar level, and that is why I will be taking my first take profit over there here. So yeah, I truly think Ethereum is looking quite good here, especially if you're going to be zooming out here towards multiple charts like the Bitcoin dominance, maybe the Ethereum compared to Bitcoin valuation. They're both looking very, very bullish in case of Ethereum. And of course, if you're just looking at the bigger perspective, you can see Ethereum bounced exactly from off this level right here, which is ultimately a very great signal. And yeah, it just shows us that we're about to be heading much, much higher from off this point here. So yeah, we had that fake out first to the top side, now to the downside, and now it is likely to be moving higher since we faked out most of the traders. So yeah, this is exactly what we're looking at for Bitcoin. As soon as we're going to be breaking the downtrend, we're going to be looking a little bit higher. But anyways, guys, it was a very short update video, but also there's not a lot of stuff happening right now here. So anyways, this was it for me in today's update video. Peace out. Goodbye.